Hello. If you love Project Hail Mary, its science, its isolation, its problem-solving energy, and that feeling of one human mind pushing back against the void, then I want to recommend something that starts in a very similar place and goes somewhere completely different. That film is Aniara, a Swedish science fiction drama from 2018 that deserves far more attention than it gets. Now, on the surface, these two stories couldn't feel more different. Project Hail Mary is hopeful, ingenious, funny. It believes in curiosity and cooperation. Aniara is quieter, colder, more unsettling. But both stories begin with the same premise. Human beings cut off from Earth, alone in deep space. The difference is what they do with that premise. Let's talk about Aniara, spoiler-free. The film is based on a mid-20th century Swedish poem. It follows a massive luxury transport ship carrying refugees from a dying Earth to Mars. Climate collapse has made Earth barely livable. Mars is marketed as a fresh start. Early in the journey, something goes wrong. Not a spectacular explosion, not a heroic sacrifice, just a small, plausible failure. And the ship is knocked off course and cannot correct itself. Thousands of passengers, not astronauts, not trained scientists or specialists, just ordinary people, find themselves drifting indefinitely into deep space with no destination and no rescue. That's the entire premise. And unlike Project Hail Mary, this isn't a story about fixing the problem, because there is no fix. And this is where the connection to Project Hail Mary becomes interesting. In Project Hail Mary, isolation creates agency. Ryland wakes up alone, but every obstacle becomes a puzzle. Every crisis can be analysed, tested, and solved. The universe is hostile, but it's comprehensible. Science works, cooperation works, curiosity works. Space is dangerous, but it yields to intelligence. In Aniara, isolation removes agency. There is no equation that solves drifting forever. There's no experiment that turns the ship around. The passengers cannot engineer their way out. So instead of watching someone solve physics problems, we watch a society try to survive psychologically. People turn to immersive technology that lets them relive memories of Earth. They form belief systems, they create rituals, they deny reality, they search for someone to blame, they try to continue as if nothing has changed. If Project Hail Mary is about building outward towards discovery and connection, Aniara is about turning inward because there's nowhere else to go. Both stories treat space as vast and indifferent, but they interpret that indifference very differently. In Project Hail Mary, the universe doesn't care about you, but it can still be understood, and that understanding gives you power. In Aniara, the universe doesn't care, and understanding doesn't help. That's the philosophical split. One story asks, what can human ingenuity accomplish at the edge of extinction? The other asks, what happens to the human mind when ingenuity is irrelevant? There's also a powerful difference in scale. Project Hail Mary narrows its focus to one man and eventually one extraordinary friendship. Its emotional arc is intimate and personal. Aniara widens the lens. This isn't about one hero, it's about an entire society. We watch years pass, we watch cultural norms shift, we watch hope evolve, fracture and mutate. The film becomes less about survival mechanics and more about how meaning itself erodes or transforms over time. And that's what makes Aniara such a compelling companion piece. If you finished Project Hail Mary feeling inspired by humanity's resilience, Aniara gently and sometimes brutally asks, Resilient for how long? Now, importantly, Aniara isn't nihilistic for shock value. It's not trying to depress you. It's examining something science fiction doesn't always linger on. Endurance. Not the adrenaline of crisis, but the slow psychological weight of permanence. If Project Hail Mary is about solving the impossible, Aniara is about living with it. So why watch Aniara if you loved Project Hail Mary? Well, because it's the mirror image. Same cosmic backdrop, same fragile species, same isolation, but where one story finds hope in action, the other explores what happens when action runs out. If you appreciated the quieter moments in Project Hail Mary, the moments where Ryland confronts the enormity of space and what it means to be alone, Aniara takes that feeling and stretches it across an entire movie. It's not as funny, it's not as triumphant, it's not as reassuring, but it is haunting, and it will make you think about Project Hail Mary in a new way. If Project Hail Mary asks what we can do in the face of the universe, Aniara asks who we become when there's nothing left to do. Enjoy the movie.